Ah, yes, it is I, the cat, who has come to give you gun. And by that, I mean I'm going to play some Half-Life, and we're going to do a little playthrough, and we're going to try and do it fast. We're going to see if we can go through fast, if we're going to be cool and good and fast. But I don't know, man. I did one of these on the other channel. Might need to turn that down just a smidge. Because certain things are just really loud for some reason, and I don't know why. But it's okay. So we're going to play this a little bit. We're going to talk about Gordon Freeman. We're also going to talk about spiritual stuff, because that's what I like talking about. Hey. Holy crap, is that MP3 volume? I don't know, that's one of them. Anyway. So we're going to talk a little bit about a couple of different things, and one of the things I thought would be kind of interesting to talk about here was the concept of fate, and like the idea that like we don't really have free will.
As I expected.
And I thought that would be kind of an interesting thing to talk about here. Oh, can't pick that up yet. I had to pick up my cool guy suit. Because this whole thing is like kind of like set up as if like, you know, and it's going to change history forever. But you know, basically what I would argue is that we definitely do have at least some form of free will. We have the ability to make choices to do certain activities rather than other. Some people seem to think that
looks like you're in the barrel today.
You're in the barrel today. That some people basically think if they believe in like karma or things like that, like basically all the actions of those around you and yourself are kind of like predetermined, basically. Which is not necessarily true. It can determine like the way certain events kind of play out and things like that. But I also personally think that using karma as a justification for every single activity that's ever happened is probably not that useful. Because if we believe in Advaita Vedanta and we believe that, you know, we can make choices that will... Man, those doors are still really loud. I don't know. I am not actually 100% sure which one is actually doing the door sound.
Ah, Gordon, here you are. We just sent the sample down to the test chamber.
Come, friend! No, go down that way. No, go down that way.
The administrator is very concerned that we get a conclusive
Okay, he's not working.
of today's sample. I gather they went to some
But we do know that like our activities and our intentions do matter.
In the test chamber.
We do know that by having good intentions for activities, it can help us and make things better off. I would also argue that like karma is one of those things that makes more sense as to why God would maybe allow suffering than some of the other options, but I am not personally of the opinion that you should have like 100% like just like blind faith in any aspect of any religious tradition, whether or not it particularly makes sense to you. Okay, one second. Okay, there we go. So I just decided to pause during that because you didn't need to hear those guys talking. But we know that, like, you know, various different sages as well have encouraged us to do like certain practices and have encouraged us to go through and, you know, worship and pray and do things like that. We also know that we can draw closer to God, and that like the intense desire to actually connect with God is one of the most important things on the spiritual path. We need the ability to... We need the sincere desire to do that, right? Like... And if it's all simply a matter of, like, your karma, then I don't know how much sense that makes. It also would mean that, you know, like, if you ever listen to, like, Sri Sarada Devi talking to some of her followers, you know, like, some of them had what was supposedly very bad karma, but, you know, she still taught them, she still gave them, you know, the loving teachings that she had, and she was willing to take them on. There's also the whole idea that even if karma is a thing, that by giving our karma over to, you know, Ma Kali or one other aspects of God, whatever like form of God we worships, that we can you know, go beyond our karma, and like things that would take a lot longer to actually go through can take a lot less time, because we'll you know, God is willing to, like, you know, take on that for us, and is willing to, you know, lessen it for us. And that's one of the most important things on the spiritual path, right? Now, that's not to say that I've never heard a good argument for, like, maybe we don't actually have, you know, as much free will as we think we do, or that maybe our definition of free will is not quite what we thought it was. But, you know, it also kind of depends, like, how are we defining these things. But if there is fate and there are things that we are meant to do, that doesn't mean that we can't react in certain ways in certain situations. That doesn't mean that we can't, you know, still be ourselves and react in ways that feel justified and righteous to us. And that also doesn't mean that we don't, you know, have to think about things. We should be willing to question and ask, why are we doing what we're doing? What are we willing to go through to continue on? Oh, look, Bull's goods. What are we willing to do to continue on and go through, you know, our difficult times, and how much are we willing to deal with, and that we can't, you know, like, improve our strengths and our skills in the meantime, and that we can't, you know, pray and sincerely ask, you know, for, you know, guidance. And of course, that's also, like, you know, like, one of the questions we have to ask ourselves is, you know, let's say that you're fated to have something happen to you. Are you going to simply accept that, or are you going to be willing to interact with it as the event and be willing to look past it? You know, sometimes when things feel inevitable, we get, like, this kind of feeling of dread, or like we just kind of don't want to, like, bother trying to deal with it. But the truth is that we can choose how we react in so many different situations, and we can really get through and ask for mercy and ask for divine help. But also, you know, there is, and these are, like, you know, part of life, but there's also, you know, a good strength to be had in, like, you know, asking, you know, for mercy and for divine wisdom and divine intervention, and all these other things that, you know, can happen in our lives.
Gordon, you're alive.
Indeed.
God for that hazard suit.
Praise Allah.
And all our phones are out. Please get to the surface as soon as you can, and let someone know we're stranded down here. You'll need me to activate the retinal scanners. I'm sure the rest of the science team will gladly help you.
Okay, let's go.
Lead the way.
Quickly, friend. To adventure.
Well, the dimensional breach is definitely transmitting organic matter.
What made you say that? The giant head crab things? Because, yeah, fair. Oop. And, you know, we also have these ideas that, you know, if something is inevitable, that, you know, we just have to accept the event as it happens. But, you know, if we're willing to do our best to react to things properly, if we're willing to go out of our way to try and make sure that we do the proper thing, you know, no matter what's, you know, it is in our way, then we can get a lot further on the spiritual path, and that's what's actually important.
Gordon, man, am I glad to see you. What the
Come on.
hell are these things? And why are they wearing science team uniform?
Because they're scientists. Come on, bud. Like, you know, here you can be like Gordon and react well and react with strength. This is all happening to Gordon before. He's been through this a billion times. I've been through this a billion times. But that doesn't mean that we can't But that doesn't mean that we can't react with strength and courage to things, and that doesn't mean that we can't like still treat it like it's a fresh time, and that we can't still approach things. That one of these opened, and then we can't still. Oh, this one's opened. Right? This is science team lockers, isn't it? Oh, whatever, it's fine. And that you can't still go through life with, you know, the earnest desire to do better. You shouldn't look at things like in a defeatist sort of way. You should always approach things.
I'll stay here and guard the ride.
As if you have the ability to change, and as if you have the ability to, even if you don't. Hey, how you doing? I'm just gonna leave you there because if I step on that, you die. And that you can still approach things as if you have the ability. Ow. To do better. And you know, we have this tendency to go through like. Hi, thanks. Hi. Sorry. And like we can't learn from our mistakes. Go on. Because it's by learning from our mistakes that we make it so that we can improve for next time. You know, God is always there. You can always call upon God if you don't know what to do, or if you're feeling down, or feeling like you can't change something. God is, of course, ultimately the one who we have to sort of submit to, right? Like, it is the will of God. That's like what everything is sort of responding to. And, you know, God does things that we may, you know, like we may not necessarily understand, especially from our perspective. Hi. Okay, I'll leave you in the... Hey. Proud about you. And that does mean that sometimes you're gonna have to deal with craziness, and you're gonna be wondering why something happens. You know, it's one of the things is that you don't necessarily know why God does things the way she does things, but part of having faith is that you're willing to I tried to jump there, it didn't work. And that's one of the things, is like, you know, like there's a lot of saints that go through, you know, some pretty... Oop, gotta be careful. They go through some pretty crazy stuff. And, you know, Sri Ramakrishna, for instance, still had throat cancer, but he was still in bliss while he went through it. And, you know, there's a lot of... There's a lot of reasons for stuff like that. And we can sit there and say that we'll have a greater answer, or that, you know, it's inevitable, that it's fate. But sometimes all it really takes is just actually going through the event, going through it and responding well, responding, you know, with peace of mind. And responding, you know, making sure that we have a sincere desire to respond well and to go through these things. in your life. That's what you really gotta do. It's F6. Okay. I probably won't die to this, but it is possible. Also, what the heck is this room? Why? What is this for? That's kind of one of the crazy things about Black Mesa, man. It's first off crazy big, but also just crazy wild. Know what I mean, Jimmy Dean? Sometimes you look around the building, you're like, man, I don't know what this room is for, but you built it, so maybe it serves some kind of purpose. I don't know. But, you know, I encourage you all to have strength. Be willing to go through complex situations and be willing to put up with things even when they seem like they're kind of crazy and you don't know why exactly you're going through them. Whether you believe it's karma or fate or something else, remember that God is always with you and that God loves you. Okie dokie, artichoke. Okie dokie. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I hope that you all have an absolutely wonderful day, and I hope you know that I love you and God loves you, and bye-bye, love you, bye. Have a great one.